going out live to the students and perspectives. But I'm going to find out from Matthew when he's ready to start. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got a potty mouth in it, so I don't know. I'll try my best. Are we good to go? Oh, we're good to go. Alrighty. All right.
No, but I'm not going to ask him though. Yeah, I'll try to memorise it.
Where did everybody come in from? Who's this? So everyone's local?
I'm not local.
So it wasn't much of an effort to get in? So someone come from Birmingham? Did she commute from Birmingham on a daily? That was insane, man. That's proper train fare. Yeah.
The dedication.
I'd say just come I'll teach you, right?
All right. He's done a few bits, isn't he? Okay, so welcome. I know we've also got people online, so welcome to everyone online also. My name is Michelle Escoffrey. I'm the Director of Industry Experience here at ACM. And this is the first of, hopefully, a series of masterclasses or talks in Studio A at Metropolis. So you guys are the first. And you guys are the first as well. I'm really excited about this session because, why am I excited? I don't know if this guy here talks in public like this on a normal basis. So this is big, right? And what I will say to you guys is, this is an in-conversation, but I want you also to be involved. So I don't necessarily want to wait until the end and then you can ask questions. If something comes into your head and you're like, oh, I want to know about that, just raise your hand and we will have an interactive conversation. Is that cool? Yeah? All right, so how many songwriters are in the room? All right, how many producers? All right, and how many of you are interested in getting involved in A&R? Okay, 2, maybe.
Wow, we're a dying breed, man. Wow. Yeah, well, yeah.
Most of the musicians here, it's not the first thing that I probably would have said, but
No, you know.
as a producer, I think it's inevitable in some ways.
No, you're absolutely right. I didn't start in A&R, so you're absolutely right. I don't even know why I opened my mouth. I'll just shut up and I'll just go home.
All right, so let me introduce you. So, to my immediate left, this is Darcus Beese. Darcus is EVP of Warner Music UK and president of Darko Recordings, a new music company in partnership with Warner Music UK. In his role as EVP, Darcus works closely with Warner Music's CEO Tony Harlow and label president.
Don't believe the press release. You reading the press release?
I'm reading the damn press release, innit?
Don't believe the press release.
Don't believe it? No. All right, so should we scrap that then?
Yeah, scrap the press release.
All right, let's scrap the press release. But let me just say this. He's worked with people like Amy Winehouse, Ben Howard, Bon Jovi, Demi Lovato, Dizzy Rascal, Jessie J, Florence and the Machine, Mumford and Sons, Shawn Mendes, Sugar Babes, Tyre Cruz, The Killers, U2, and that's just to name a few. Please give him a round of applause, Mr. Darcus Beese. And then next to Mr. Darcus Beese, we have Mr. Karl Gordon. Karl is a multi-platinum record producer, DJ, artist. He has been in this game for, yeah, we won't talk about that. And he has worked with some of the world's biggest artists, one of them being All Saints. The reason why I wanted to have this conversation today is because these guys actually know each other. So I want to look at, we talk about this all the time with you guys in ACM, that your network is your net worth, and that people that you meet in the room, possibly at university or at work, they can sometimes become the people that really influence your career, or that you work together and you make something happen. When I think about somebody like, say, Darcus, I actually had a moment when I did my master's degree last year and I interviewed you for my thesis. I actually had a moment because I realized that you actually helped to kind of catapult my career as a songwriter.
Was that Hinder?
It was Hinder.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Darcus had signed Hinder Hicks, solo singer. She was Moroccan, right?
Tunisian.
Tunisian. And I wrote a song for Hinder, and it became her first single, and it was a top 20 hit.
Which?
And
Which
that-
I remixed.
Which
Oh
you
my
remixed.
God.
Which I
Oh
remixed.
Oh my
yeah.
God. See? Connections, dots. This is what happens. So that kind of really woke me up to the idea. I was in a band at the time, I was in a group, and it woke me up to this idea of, oh, I can write songs for other people and actually make a living out of this. I don't have to go out and be in front of people. Do you know what I mean? So in 98, I actually left the group I was in to pursue songwriting as a career instead of being an artist. And that really worked for me. Karl Gordon, you know, he's toured the world. He's an amazing DJ. He's opened shows for, gosh, tell us.
More recently, well, in the last few years, Busta Rhymes and Snoop Dogg around Europe.
I mean, yeah, just casually, Busta Rhymes.
You know how we
Snoop
do.
Dogg. Yeah.
Oh, actually, going back to you talking about Darcus gave you your kind of first break.
Yeah.
And I remixed I Want to Be Your Lady. I actually didn't know that you wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that.
And also, you did give me my first remix. I bet you don't remember what it was.
It was probably
Is
Hinder
m-
Hicks.
No, it wasn't actually. It was Omar and...
Omar and
Misha.
Paris. No,
Yeah.
that was Julian
Oh,
that gave
wow.
that mix, but
Was that
it Omar
Julian?
and Misha Paris. I mean, what this all says to me, right, is that we were all your age
Yeah.
Yeah.
at one time when we were having these conversations, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, 20, 30 years later, look at us oldies sitting here.
Yeah.
Through this whole conversation, it's about what does career look like,
Yeah.
and where does one start, and how does one start. You know, I was, Karl was in music before I was. We were in school,
Yeah.
and we were at the back end of school, the fifth form. I don't know what that year 24. What do you call it now? Year 16.
I have no idea.
11 or something.
Year
isn't
11
it?
or 12. Anyway, he was
12.
in a group. He was in a hip hop group called Outlaw Posse that was signed to a label called G Street that was distributed through Island Records. And at that time, I think I was hairdressing.
You was
No, it was
hairdressing.
still at school, between school and leaving school. Karl was in a hip hop band, and we used to jump in cars and just drive off on the motorway, and used to go and see him play shows and stuff. And if you remember, you took me to Ireland. I hadn't even been to Ireland before, but you took me to Ireland. This is just so you understand the context of all of this, right? So you took me to Ireland because Aswad, who were a
Yes.
reggae band,
Yes.
who had a big, huge hit called "Don't Turn Around." Google all this stuff, and they were doing an audition
For video.
for a video.
Yeah, we went there.
So, and we had dreadlocks at the time. This is how far back it was.
Yeah.
Right? We had dreads at the time. So that was the first time. The reason why I got into music was because he was in a band, and it was signed to the record label that was distributed for Ireland. And he took me to Ireland before I'd even worked there to audition for this video that we never got.
As a dancer or something.
No, we never got in it. It was,
No, we
it was supposed to be dancing and in chambers. Just to set them free. It was like really,
remember
it was like really 80s.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know. That was probably 1987, 88, right? So, and we grew up together. We went to school together. We lived in the same street together. We've known each other since we were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So music industry is not really a great place for friendships, but this has survived it. So I just wanted to kind of give you context of, and Michelle, you know, we go way back because yes, she talks about when I was doing A&R on this group, but she was in a girl group that was signed to Big Life that I used to work at, which was a record label I used to work at, but I went back to work Ireland, and then you had successors, and I was having the Hinder Hicks while you lot were in Truce.
Yeah.
So the girl group was called Truce. So yeah, bit of context for you, a bit of understanding that, you know, it's not, you know, this stuff doesn't just, it's not a flash in the pan. It's like this is career and some years under the belt.
But when did you get to that place that you knew, oh, I want to be involved in music. I want to be involved in making music and actually making money out of making music. When did you get to that place?
Well, we were into hip hop. We were into, you know, electro at the time, and we were body popping and stuff, and you know, parents had record collections, so we were immersed in music. You know, music.
Sound system.
Aisha Masters. Music soundtracked our lives, so it was a natural thing. But it wasn't until, and Karl was in music. He was in a band, and it was all exciting to me. But it wasn't until we went to a record company party, and it was, I don't know if you came, but it was either the George Michael. Does anybody know who George Michael is before I sound too old? It was a George Michael album launch party, and it was at Westway Studios. You know Rich, Westway Studios, and it's when they used to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on these parties. And I went to this party, and I was like, it was like a different world. It's like getting a ticket for the Willy Wonka, the golden ticket, and it was just this whole different world of existence. And I was like, I've got to be in this world. Next day, I just sent out millions of CVs and never got one reply. But that's where networking became important. But I think that was the thing that was like, oh, it was a world where magic happens and money gets spent. But that was the kind of time that I thought, this seems like an attractive place to be. And I was already working around creatives, because I was in hairdressing, and people that used to come into the salon were in the music industry or different parts of the creative. So I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be I wasn't destined for a 9 to 5. It was just a spark of what's next for me, you know. So.
What about you, Karl?
What was the question?
When did you know that? Oh yeah, I really want to be involved in making music and music.
When he was doing when he was in maths class, probably.
Yeah. Do you know what it was? It was when hip hop was born. That's when I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how or when, but I knew I wanted to be part of that movement. And we, like Darcus was saying before, this was a brand new music, man. It was like literally blew our minds. Do you know what I mean? So I think, and then I saw a movie called Wild Style, where I saw this DJ scratching and cutting. It was at the birth of hip hop. And I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? That just blew me away. And that's probably when I knew. But I was always in bands anyway. So music was always in my family. So it's something that I always did. It wasn't like I was like, this is going to be my job.
He played drums in the school band.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I was a drummer, yeah, man. So we went to a school which was famed for its band, the Henry Compton Swing Band. Oh, actually, you played saxophone.
Yeah, but I got it taken off me.
Yeah, I remember.
Why did you get it taken off you?
Because I smashed it up.
You smashed it?
Yeah.
Didn't you try to go to the headmaster's office with
And
your hand
hide
over
it,
the
yeah.
hole?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've always been in and around music, and it was just, I guess, I never once thought I was going to make money in it, because I was just doing it.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing, what I try and tell the students as well, it's like, you have to be wanting to do this without even thinking about the money. It's because this is what you want to do. This is you. You're destined to do this. And if you get good at it, then, you know, money comes.
I think that's it. I mean, when people ask, how do I do it? There's a switch in your head. You have a switch that's not rational, right? So you don't think rationally. When people go, yeah, but do you really think you're going to be famous, or do you really think you can sing, or do you really? It's like, yeah, and it's almost just like, you know. And he is this unbelievable belief, and he had it. he went and bought these decks.
Yeah.
And it was a time when you just used to put a little deposit down and go back each week and pay it off. Layaway.
Yeah.
And he played decks, and he would be scratching in the bedroom, and we'd be miming to the Beastie Boys, and that was his thing. He was going to be a DJ, and he was going to be the best DJ, and he was going to be in a hip hop band, and he did it. And that was at time before the internet.
Yeah, man.
Before sat-nav, and I don't know why I said sat-nav. I'm sure I'll think of a reason why I said sat-nav, but yeah, it's I think that it's that unwavering belief in yourself. What does confidence look like? And
you said that Karl kind of introduced you to Ireland. What was the transition into working at Ireland?
I think at the time you don't really understand when you're listening to records, when you go and buy records, and it's a different experience from now. Who buys records? Who goes out to the shop and buys records? Right, so a couple of you, two or three of you. So it's much easier to press a button and down and stream. It's just there's no emotional other than I like that. I'm gonna there's no. You don't have to get up and save some money for this record that you want to buy, and then get up and then go down to the record shop and go hunting for it. There's not that experience of the relationship with music. And now I understand. This is what I'm going to say. What was the question again? And the reason why I'm going to say what was the question again, and this will just become more clear as we go, is that I got diagnosed with ADHD just before Christmas. And sometimes you forget what you're saying. I don't know if anybody suffers from ADHD in here, but sometimes you can forget what you're saying when you're just about to say it. And so if I interrupt or blah, blah, now I understand my behaviours. So just one for the room context. If you kind of go, why does he always forget what he said?
What was your journey into Ireland? We said that Karl kind of introduced you to Ireland, but what was that journey working at Ireland? What did that look like for you?
You started out in a mailroom.
Yeah. I think, God, I don't even know why I started flipping now.
I remember.
Do you remember?
Wasn't you cutting Julian Palmer's hair?
No.
No.
It goes back to networking. And there was a period of time when I just thought that after I'd been to this party and I sent out the CVs and I got no reply, I just thought, what am I going to do? So every opportunity to be in a room where there was people from the music industry, and whether that was at a gig or whether that was at a party, whether that I was going to blag some records, and blagging records was going to get some free stuff. And hopefully when you left the room, someone would have an opinion on you somewhere along the line, somewhere being in these rooms and trying to make network, somewhere it would pay off. And one day I was going back to Ireland because I'd done some networking and figured out some contacts like Julian Palmer and blah, 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 and went to Ireland to blag some records. And at that day, on that given day, there was a kid that was leaving in the promotions department. And Julian said, there's some kids leaving. And I'd have sent CVs off for months, man. I'd been networking. And nothing. And I was sweeping hair, finishing late, taking highlights out of people's hair, washing hair. I was like, fuck. And then one day I went to blag some records, and luckily this kid was leaving, so I went to see the head of promotions, and I said, could I get an interview? Do you remember Julian Abel? Yeah. Julian Abel was head of promotions at Island Records, and I said, could I have an interview? And he gave me an interview. And 7 days later, I got the job. And it was a bit of luck being in the right place at the right time off the back of some networking. So the CVs, sending out the CVs didn't do squiddly dot. So it was definitely about relationships, because then people will go away. Julian Abel went and asked other people about me. What do they think? Blah, blah, blah. And anybody at any time could go, nah, don't do it. Bit of a nightmare, not reliable. Not good in a room, is not passionate about what he does. So, I was always alive to the fact that always try and create that impression that when you left the room, someone, if they asked about you, would have an opinion of you. And hopefully it would be good. But you can't please all the people all of the time. So that was the catalyst for me getting in. And then it was about staying in.
And what was the transition from promotion to A&R?
It was, you know, like I said, when I asked people where they came from today, you know, it was, you know, show it, you know, do you really care about the process? Do you really care to learn? Are you really passionate about the music? Is your taste really broad? Do you understand what the influences of music is? You know, black music influences everything. You know, I started listening to black music and then realized that black music is the blues, it's jazz, you know, and that, you know, in terms of the roots of stuff, folk, you know, rock, blah blah, you know. So I knew that my palette was broad, and I had a good taste. So I would go and see all the bands, every act that was signed to Ireland. I would go and see them, and I would travel with the A&R people when they went to see unsigned acts. And I was like, that's when I was like, so you are A&R people, and you get to drive in this company BMW with an expense account to drive around the country looking for acts. Yo. But I was working in promotions at the time, and because I used to do that, and because I was like really passionate about it, my boss, the MD at the time, Clive Banks, came down and he said, "You're wasted in promotions." He said, you love going out with the A&R, you love the process, you love new acts, go and work in A&R. And I was like, really? He's like, go and work in A&R. And I was like, I ain't got a bloody clue what A&R is, you know. And what I learned is that you got to have good taste. Who said they wanted to be A&R people? Well, everybody's an A&R person, right? If you hear something new and you go, yo, this is good, it's A&R, right? It's an opinion. And then it's about cultivating that opinion and understanding the art and craft of record making, of songwriting, of producing, and that is the art and how do you become an artist in that? You know, when I talk about the artist, I'm talking about the master of the art. You know. So
I've got a question for you. How has A&R changed from when you started to now? And how has, you know, social media affected that?
Before you answer that, I have a question for you.
Oh yeah, go on then.
So what was your transition from, so you said you did sound, you was DJing, you was in a band, etc. What was your transition from that to making records for other people, to writing songs with other people, to starting to develop acts? Because the thing with Karl is that when you're in the studio with Karl, he's thinking about the whole picture, and he kind of develops the artist at the same time. He really works on their sound and what they're putting across. Yeah. When did that happen for you? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, good question. Well, actually, how it all first kicked off was I made a demo tape with a friend of mine in school called Bello, right? And we used to go to this store called Spin-Offs on Fulham Palace Road. We used to go there every Saturday to see what the latest hip-hop was and buy records and just kind of hang out. Because this is when we used to hang out in record stores. Even if we weren't even buying records or we had no money, you just go there anyway just to see what's popping. And I had this demo tape in my pocket, and I'd done it on we didn't even have a 4-track or nothing. Somehow I figured out how to use a double cassette player and be able to overdub. I mean, you guys would have no clue what I'm talking about. But it's basically making a recording studio out of F-all, right? So anyway, I had this demo tape in my pocket, went to this record shop, and I had it in there for months, man, and I was too scared to play it. And while no one was in the shop, I said to the Richie Rich, "Can you play this, please? Tell me what you think." And I was shitting myself. And then he put the tape in, and he was nodding his head, and he was like, "Hey, who produced this?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I didn't even know what a producer was. He said, who did the music? I said, "I did." He goes, "Who's rapping?" And I said, "My mate, Bello." And he goes, "This is great. I've just set up a label with a guy called John Baker called G Street Records. And do you want to come down there and just cut a record to see what happens?" And I'd never even been in not a proper studio. And I just turned up with a bag of records, man, and didn't even have a clue how to make a record or what it took. But I knew in my head what I wanted, and I just had to relay that to the engineer, and we managed to put a record together. And that was my first real experience in the studio. And actually, we cut a record, it came out, and then I heard myself on the radio, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I learnt my trade making hip-hop records and learning on the job, watching the engineers, figuring out how to make different sounds and working out how to arrange records, because I wasn't taught that. I just kind of knew by listening to other artists and seeing how they put records together. And then from there, I learnt my trade, started remixing records. Darcus was doing his thing, so I'd done a few remixes for him. And my name started to spread out. And then the first massive break I had was with All Saints. And my idea behind it was, well, this is a pop harmony group. What would that sound like on hip hop? Ding. So I went to meet the girls and gave them a couple of tracks. And about 2 weeks later, I got a cassette, put it in my car, and it was I Know Where It's At. Yeah. And that became their first single and launched the band. And no, but that album was like, I think it was in the top 10 for like 68 weeks. Wow. It was like it was a global phenomenon. And then from there, your network grows, your record sales grow, everything kind of from there, and that was kind of it. That was how it all kind of started.
I do just want to say that I did the ripping noises on the I Know Where It's At video.
That was you?
That was me.
Oh, that's London Records, because Rich was London Records.
Oh, right, yeah. Do you know what? We actually recorded it here.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
With Cameron downstairs. It might have been in here, actually. It was funny because when I turned up to the studio, right, I'd never seen anything like this. This was like insane. I was a kid then, do you know what I mean? And I remember I came in and Cameron McVeigh, some big time producer, he already done Nana Cherry and Sugar Babes and Massive Attack and all that. So yeah, I came down, just a funny story, I came down there and I walked in the studio because they were helping to produce it. And he said, do you need a hand with your gear? And all I had was just one shitty keyboard that I'd done the whole song on. And he was like, so you made that record on that? And I was like, yeah. He was like, how? I was like, I don't know, I just figured it out, do you know what I mean? But, so, I don't know what the point of my story was, but I thought it was quite funny. Well, that record went on to be their first massive single and launched their careers. And saved London Records, I would say.
Rich could tell you that, but I remember, the one thing about that record on KG was that KG, as the producer, defined the sound of the girls. He came with a sound and gave them a sound. And I thought, very few people have that. Pharrell has a sound. Timbaland has a sound. Nelly Hooper had a sound. So KG has a sound. You even hear it in his record making now. So that mastering of your art and craft, you always are developing. But I can play the chopsticks. I'm not a pianist. You know what I mean? So at what point do you become? I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. I can't even remember what I said, so I can't repeat.
It was good, man.
But yeah, I think that's the thing for all of us is about how do
it's the 10,000 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, how do we own our art?
How do we own our art? I like that. Do we have any questions? There you go.
Going on to the A&R thing, so when you're looking at an artist, kind of two parts of the question, but what are you really looking for and what percentage of it, I mean it's obviously not percentages, but how much are you looking at them as a person and them as a musician? Kind of like how much is important in this kind of like seeing the potential in someone?
Back in the day, it used to be really important. because the nature of how artists came to the marketplace was you could only get a record deal, and whether it was a major record deal or an independent record deal, making a record was very expensive, making a video was very expensive, you had to manufacture physical products, so it was expensive. It's not like it is now. So I don't think it's as important now because anybody can do it, right? And you hear records on the radio and you hear artists and you kind of hear people just dialing it in, or they've got lucky on a viral moment, and it's and that's the nature of the business. So, you know, but back in the day, I think you had to, you as an A&R person, if you're looking for the artist, you know, you had to. I think in the very first instance, it's authenticity. Not all the time, you know. You know, in pop records, you just put stuff in a test tube and you shake it around and you got an act. In the old days, but you know, in the very first instance, I think it's about authenticity. You know, for the artist or for the A&R person, you know, come from a place of authenticity. That will get you somewhere. Natural talent gets you somewhere. Then you've got to train it and refine it and stuff. Or you could be one of those A&R people that are very good at putting 1 + 1 and coming up with 2 and creating a pop act, or creating a record or creating something. So there's different ways. Authenticity and have a high bar, you know, and learn where that high bar is. Because trust me, when I started doing it, I thought the bar was here, right? And it's not. It's there. And a lot of people can get through life just there. So it's all about the individual, in terms of, but in the very first instance, I think with every part of the music industry, I think you have to come from a place, apart from probably doing the number, you probably have to have doing the numbers, but authenticity.
When you're putting together a project, how do you see that? Like, is it a body of work in terms of the music, or are you thinking about the artist? Like, what is your process in terms of putting together a body of work for an artist?
I think, again, some things change and some things should stay the same. The music delivery system over the years changes. Whether it's you went to the record shop, or then you started downloading off iTunes, or then you started streaming. So the delivery system with technology changes. And there's always been good music and there's always been shit music. But what, again, this is down to the individual, but what shouldn't change, and for me shouldn't change, is the quality of the music. You know, and because you can Google how to do stuff, because you can YouTube how to learn stuff, you're not necessarily learning from the Jedi, right? You're not necessarily learning, being mentored, or in rooms with people that you can learn from. So, someone course correct me. Someone course correct me. Body of work, yeah. So back in, 10 years ago, when we were still in download and some people liked a bit of vinyl, it was about the body of work. But as soon as iTunes started to enabled you to download the song, right, everything started to break down. As soon as they untethered the single from the album in download, everything started to break apart in terms of the body of work and people's route to the body of work, or people's journey to the body of work. And then because of streaming, and there's so much stuff, the body of work is maybe not the very first instance. Maybe it's about the arts ecosystem and pulling people into the arts ecosystem to even get them to care about a body of work. So it's because there's so much coming down the tubes, which takes people's attention in other areas, or there's 100,000 tunes coming down onto Spotify every week. You can't keep going, I've got an album. It's here's my world, trust my world, and I'll deliver stuff to you. and that for me is how do you get people to care when they don't have to care? It comes from the music you're making, and it becomes from the authenticity of your connection with a person, with a fan, and your ability to create that spark that a fan wants to turn up, and that they'll come the next week because something's happening again, and they'll come the next week because something's happening again, and then next time they come, they bring their friend. So everything, nothing changes, but everything changes. In old money, that's going out and gigging and seeing the whites of people's eyes and putting out tunes. And in new money with new technology, knowing that you've got all of these platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, what is your presence on all of these, right? And how do you use them as touch points for people to get to you, to get to the music that you're making, or to get to the song that you're writing, or to discover, or how do you use these platforms to discover artists, which that's another rabbit hole. Yeah.
What about you, Karl? In terms of working with artists, how does that look for you? Is that different now? Is it a body of work? Is it, we're just going to go track by track? Like, what does that look like as a producer working with artists?
I'm a body of work type of producer because for me, I can't do this one hit in one day, just cold. Do you know what I mean? I have to get to know the artist. We have to be on the same page, and it's a journey. Do you know what I mean? So where we start, we may not necessarily finish there, if that makes sense. It can take twists and turns. So I like to, like Darcus said, authenticity to me is massive. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you start making a body of work with someone, you start discovering them on a deeper level, is when you start getting really creative.
Yeah, I think that whole thing, when Karl was making records, he was in the studio with people that he could learn off.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Whenever you were making records, whenever I was signing acts and I couldn't afford to use the hottest producer, I'd look on the credits and go, who was their programmer? Who was their engineer? And I would steal them, and they were much cheaper because they had learned from the grown-ups that had been in the room. So this whole thing about what does mentoring look like, or what does learning from people look like, that whole kind of bedroom studio thing, it's all cool, right? But who are you learning from to take your art and your craft to another level, right? So that networking and being around people,
it's true. And do you know what?
That inspire.
Going back to that, when I came to this studio and was lucky enough to be able to work with Nelly Hooper and Cameron McVeigh, and if you don't know who those guys are, Google them. Cameron McVeigh, Nelly Hooper. And I saw the way these guys put records together, and I saw what a producer is and does. Although I was doing it myself as I would say a fledgling producer, just being in the studio one day with these guys completely changed everything for me.
In what way?
Well, just nuances, man. Like how they would build the track, and it was about what they left out, not what was in. So by the time they put certain things in, it was just eye-opening. The way they just put the records together. I mean, it's nothing massive, but it's just watching its nuances. Like, oh shit, he just did that, and it made such a big difference. But you're talking about just one day in the studio with someone. Yeah. That is worth, watching 1 million YouTube videos, not being in contact with the person or being in the same room. So what you were talking about the organicness of,
it's the processes of understanding what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
sometimes
more to the point.
you know, you can make stuff happen by accident in the studio and go, well, how the fuck did that sound come about?
Exactly.
Right, and stuff can happen by accident, or you can get lucky. But at some point, you've got to have control of the process. Sometimes it can't be, oh, I just got lucky. You've got to control the process, and being successful or having a career means that you've got to go and repeat and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. So you're not lucky. You're actually, and not getting surprised. Oh my God, I've had a hit. Oh. That's what you're supposed to do if that's what you want to do. So not you know, one of those things is when do you stop getting surprised about what you're doing, and that's when you're in kind of control of what you're doing.
Any more? Oh, here we go.
So, actually, what you just spoke about, I have a question about controlling the balance between intuition and consciousness in making music. So, what's the perfect balance, and how should you maybe transition from having good intuition from what you grab from different records, etc., to actually having control over and consciously being able to configure your knowledge?
Darcus.
Yeah. And it's, the one good thing about being diagnosed with ADHD and doing the job that I did was that you all thought it was, I just thought everything was intuition, right? And that and to act on that intuition without consequence. So in ADHD, you make decisions and don't give a fuck about the consequence. So being in A&R, I was never frightened to use my intuition if I was excited about something. And I think that's where, for most part, where you start from. Because if you don't start from that and it doesn't work, you know, I would, you know, if I loved and was excited about something and it didn't work, it didn't matter. As long as I was passionate and excited about it, and that I could explain it away in my head as well as to other people, and then all of a sudden you look like a genius, all right? Because when you're successful, hopefully you're spectacularly successful, and when you're not, you just quickly hide the body. No, I didn't say that. But you know, that's, you know, intuition, and then you start to learn that it's not all about tuition. As you get older and you get a bit wiser, you do understand that it is about the right decision making, and it is about delivering the thing, the package, the whole thing, the music, and then you become a bit more of a rounded character. But in the very first instance, yeah, it's all tuition, and then you learn how to refine that, or you don't. You know, I always say the music industry is not an easy industry to be in, and it can find you out if you're not passionate, if you're not good. But if you have a modicum of something that you're passionate about, that will carry you, and because that will keep you in when the whole shit is going south on you. And for the most part in the music industry, it's not all, it's 1% success, the rest is failure. So it's about how people cope with that, right? And how long can you stay in the mix for something to start to happen. But, you know, I always tell people, myself included, find out quickly whether you're good or you're shit. Because don't waste time, your time, other people's time, your years on something that should just be a hobby, right? Because there's a hobby and then there's something there's a career, you know. And some people in the music industry that I've come across, you know, whether they're producers, whether they're artists, they've, you know, some of them, and the ones that I love are the ones that have got a day job. I've got a job. And then they got to finish the job and then go to rehearsals after the job. But you love it, that's why they're doing it. You know, so you know, it's all of that.
I think also creatively, as a writer or as a producer, I think you would agree with me, Karl, is that that part of that intuition is, you know, when you're creating that song and it feels good, and you know that it feels good, the other balance to that is now you have to finish it. Now you have to use your skill, your craft that you've honed over years to finish that piece of intuition, to go, actually, you know what? That line isn't really working. Let me change that. Let me work on that. Or, you know what? The chorus is amazing. I love it. But the verses needs a bit more work. So it's being able to have that discipline to not just say, I love it. It's a great song. I love it. And it's like, well, actually, no. There's parts of it that are great, but then there's other parts of it that need work. And it's having that discipline to continuously go back to your work and check it and make sure, you know, when I was writing all the time, I was constantly listening to other types of music, listening to what's in the charts, listening to all kinds of things and going, will that match up? Let me play alongside that song. Yeah, you know what? Sonically, it's not right. Or actually, melodically, it's not popping. Let me change something, you know, and being able to work with people that will be honest with you. So, for instance, if I'm working with, say, Karl, or if I'm presenting something to somebody like Darcus, I'm expecting their honesty. I'm expecting them to go, it's all right, but it's not special. Okay, cool. Let me go back. I need to rework this or park it. Come back to it in 6 months' time.
Yeah,
and
so
see.
so imagine your best friend is one of the best A&Rs on the planet, and then you got to play him a tune.
And he'll tell you the truth.
Sometimes the truth hurts, so you got to be selective with the tunes.
There was no nepotism around here. It was, you know, the fact that we were friends probably led to the fact that we didn't work as much because, again, the music industry takes no prisoners when stuff's going south. And I'd never wanted stuff to go south with me and Karl because and so I would have exposed our relationship to the ills of the music industry, and we would not be friends now. So.
We had,
on the subject of intuition in terms of songwriting, for an artist that's kind of still experimenting in terms of genre, writing what's coming to them at the time, would you advise them to start going to A&R now, or would you advise them to kind of refine the genre first? Is that something that A&R's open to?
What I would, in your case, I wouldn't even be thinking about A&R people. You know, there's the music industry is a place now that they don't have the power anymore. The record companies don't have the power. They have the power to invest, and they have the power to facilitate. I don't know. And listen, I left working. I was running Island Records in America for the last 3 years. And I came back. Right, read into that what you will, but I came back, and because I realised in America and here that signing acts was becoming less emotional because you were being dictated by what was spinning out of TikTok or, you know, in lockdown, you know, and everybody went into figuring it out and trying to break the code. And all of a sudden, you weren't going to see acts play live because they'd all come up in this bedroom culture of the last 2 or 3 years. And but people were figuring out how to get to market, and TikTok was helping that process. And so, what I would say to all of you, because I'm kind of now I've stopped running a major record company, I'm now one step removed in the development process of an artist, you know. And for me, when I sign an artist now, they just got to have some sense of self.
In the context then of like today's kind of breaking into the music industry, how it's obviously so different now, what's kind of the one piece of advice that you'd give to an artist that's looking to, like, you know, make the most of themselves, like never waste an opportunity, breaking in?
There's no excuse. Yeah. There's too many routes to market. What I've probably realised in the last few months is that if the artist hasn't got an idea, then no one else is going to have the idea, especially this early, because if you can't figure out what your voice is on your TikTok page or on your Insta, or what your colour scheme is, or what your aesthetic is, or how you are presenting. So when you're scrolling through your pages, there's an aesthetic of how you're presenting. musically or color palette wise, frequency in terms of how prolific you are. You know, what you see is young kids not writing the whole song, they're just spinning up 30-second hooks and stuff. So it's, what I've realized is that no amount of money spent can take an artist or a record to market and blow it up. It's either happening and record companies spend a shitload of money signing that act or that record. But now the place is awash with people that just go, I'm putting my stuff up. People overthink it and go, I know I should put it up when it should be this. And no, put it up and let people tell you whether it's good or shit. You know?
Nuggets right there. Take heed.
It's very related to that because I'm doing basically what you've been talking about. I'm doing my dissertation about how to start an independent label, or for independent artists how to work their way without major pieces because of the changes in the music industry. For instance, one person in the 90s could spend one purchase of a CD could be used and heard by thousands of people back in the 90s, and it's only one sale.
Yeah.
But these days, one person can give you thousands of sales by listening to it every day. So it's changing the whole strategies and the whole way of marketing music. So what do you think about labels, being an independent label or starting new independent labels these days, or independent artists, do they have to go to majors or can they just make it?
There was, who knows Ray? So Ray's just had a hit, right? And she was unsigned. So what does that say to you? So read into what you will, right? But what does that say to you? I mean, I could come up with quite a few things, but you know, they were dropped by she was dropped by a major record label, and for whatever reason, and it's out there, she said why, and she was strong enough. The music was strong enough. She just put it up, and the world took care of it, right? So when you ask me these questions, I can't answer you only other than to say, just get on with it. Don't ask for permission.
Yeah, but then after that, once she get can she continue by herself? Or
Yeah, of course she can. But or when she goes back into terms. Yeah. So record companies, you still need record companies because you need to be able to take your records past the M25, past the White Cliffs of Dover, into France, into I was going to say into Europe, but so it's record companies at the right time, and even then Ray proved that you don't now, for an international rollout, she might need the record label, or she might choose to stay in distribution, pay a bit more money in marketing. So what Ray did for all of you should be like, oh my God, let me see what Ray did. Because if you're sitting there going, what do I have to do to get an A&R to look at, then that's kind of old mentality, kind of old plantation slave mentality.
Yeah, you got to create your own smoke.
I'm only saying that because fuck record labels. I'm not a record label. I'm a music company. I do music.
What's the difference, sir?
Well, you know, I came back from America. Well, my son is 16. I went to holiday in Jamaica, and this lady, they had a New Year's party there. I wasn't there, but they had this New Year's party, and this quite grown-up young woman said to me, it was like a retro party, and it was like, there was these round black things that they had, and it was like, records.
Oh, records. Records.
Records. Yeah, whatever, man. I was like, no, records, vinyl, records. So I was not going to be coming back from America and I'm doing a record company. Yeah. And my son be like, what's a record? So it was, you know, artists will always be the driver, and music is always the soundtrack of people's lives. But you know, people should, I came back from America understanding that, you know, Jay-Z was a brand, Rock Nation was a brand, Darcus was a brand, artists should be okay with saying I'm a brand, and here's my ecosystem, and here's the other brands that I can sit alongside. And that's how I view stuff. That music soundtracks that, because Rihanna's a prime example of music and brand. Again, it's not for every artist and every genre, but for me, it's not about identifying a hit and making an artist a hit. It's about growing an artist brand and revenue and everything that comes along with that. Knowing what the landscape feels like now. So everything changes, but nothing changes. The artist is still the same. The music's got to be amazing. But in terms of the music and the artist relationship with the outside world and different verticals, whether it's gaming or whether it's sport or or clothing, whatever it is, and what does that look like? So, yeah. I always forget what the question was. I just seem to just go on some. Right, okay, I answered it.
So I think this is mainly a question for Karl. But how do you, or let's say even when you were starting, how did you maintain your own authenticity? How did you not, like for today, like you say, you've got thousands of songs coming through in your face every time you scroll through your phone even. So it's hard to not look to the side of you and be like, oh, maybe I should be doing that instead of doing this.
Yeah.
And I have another question, if that's okay. For both of you, where would you like to see the music industry go in the future? Like, because now, obviously, like you say, we don't always need record labels anymore. And for artists, it's a whole new kind of journey into growing into something, into someone, into making money. So how do you think that process is going to change in the future? Like, if any of us were to make that process in like the next decade or whatever, how do you think that process is going to look?
Oh, first part of the
Big question. What?
Yeah.
So first part,
What was it?
authenticity.
I forgot what it was.
How do you stay authentic to yourself?
That's a good question, because I find that I mean, it's always happened where the youth kind of jump on trends and all that kind of stuff, and you go in the studio with people and they want to sound like someone is already doing that. So I think when we were younger, man, it was all, well, I started out in hip hop, right? So the number one rule in hip hop is that you don't bite someone else's style. You don't sound like anyone else. You went out of your way to not sound like people. And I think having that kind of hip hop grounding, it was always like, nah, I got to do the next thing. I got to do, I got to do me. I've got to trust in my own vision and my own sound and not worry about what everyone else is doing. Because I can only do me well. I can't do Timbaland or Pharrell or any of these guys. And I did chase my tail for a while trying to do that. And I'm never going to make, how can I out Pharrell? Or out Timbo. You can't do it. So the only person I'm in competition with is myself. And I always try and keep things 100% authentic to how I see it. Obviously, you have your inspiration. You might hear something that you're like, oh, that could work in somewhere here or there. But, it's, for me, authenticity and believing in yourself and creating your own lane is how to go about music and life, I think. When everyone turns right, you turn left. I think I kind of answered the question.
Yeah, you did answer the question.
I got ADHD as well, I think.
The second part was what I think the development of the music industry is. Yeah. Do you think I'd be sitting here if I knew? I would not be here. I would be with Richard Branson on Necker Island, man, just chilling. No, but what it's about soundtracking people's lives. And people that grew up in the 60s and 70s and the 80s and the 90s, where the music was amazing. And so that drives the music industry. New acts breaking drives the music industry. I don't know. I haven't seen the new Brits nominations. I don't know. But I don't know where greatness is anymore. I don't know where, when we send music around the world, whether it was the Beatles, it was the Rolling Stones, or it was Amy, I don't know whether in abundance we have that. And so for me, that's the scary thing about where is the UK export to the world of amazingness, and I don't see it, and I haven't been seeing it for a while, and that is down to data, that is down to, for people, the music industry making surefire bets rather than speculating on the art. When Ireland signed Mumford or Amy, I don't think we thought we were going to sell a shitload of records, and that was Ireland Records template down the years. And a lot more people were maverick about it. People were maverick, London Records, people were maverick, A&M Records. But as we've seen in the past 5 years, I don't know. I think everybody's rosters are interchangeable. Everyone's got an RD, everyone's got an H. Everybody's got that interchangeable singer with that interchangeable singer. I don't know where the Lily Allens are, or the PJ Harveys are, or the Amy's, or the Adeles. I don't know where they are.
I know where they are.
Are they in this room? I don't know.
They're on my hard drive.
Yeah. But that for me, the future of music has to be the artists. And if you ask someone else that question, they might give you a different answer, but that's my take.
Yeah, one more question, sorry. So, I always listen to music in albums when I'm on digital platforms and I collect it in albums. That's kind of the way I like to do it. But as I see these years, the tendency shifted away from albums because we're not selling records anymore. We don't need to fill the space on vinyl. So what do you think is the most relevant or the best form of publishing music so it can get people excited about it if it's great music and get people involved with it? Is it singles? Is it 30-second TikTok snippets? Is it whole albums? Of course you can do all those things and adjust them to your liking for the purpose of art, but if you just look for it from the perspective of market.
Just to figure out, I figure out the consumer habits of young people because my son and my daughter consume music, and whether he's playing FIFA or he's on TikTok or someone sharing a sound with him. That's how I see young people are discovering music at the moment. And that thing about the body of work, I get it. I get the body of work. But when I used to buy the body of work, I used to put the record on and skip tracks, right? Yeah. Flip it over and skip. So, when people talk about the body of work, for me, the body of work was that an artist had a sound and something to say and a statement to make. I think lots of artists now make that through EPs and blah, blah, blah. And I think, artists used to have the time to develop and write an album. That doesn't exist anymore for people. That time, because people just want, give me a tune, then give me another tune, then give me another tune, then give me a fucking another tune. And so an artist never has the time to settle, to kind of go, I'm going to write an album, right? So that's why things today are broken off into EPs, and then people put EPs together and add another couple of tracks, and that's the album. So, yeah, I would like to see people, in answer to your question and to that question about singles and EPs, I would like artists to find moments to write the bodies of work and make statements and have a sound, rather than everything's in bite size. But we're in bite-sized territory at the moment, so it is what it is. So I just say, how do you make people care about coming to visit you, whether it's a ticket or whether it's on your platform, and that each time they come, they get rewarded with goodness, and the goodness is the quality of the music and the connection with the artist, and then you can sell whatever you want to them. You can sell, wasn't there a girl selling farts online? Can you imagine if Shawn Mendes was selling farts? He would sell a shitload. So the point I'm making is that you can sell, once you've developed your community, you can sell your albums. You can sell your T-shirts. You can sell a ticket and a meet and greet. You don't need a record company in between. So the gap between yourself and the art and the fan, it used to be a chasm because the record company used to fit it and used to facilitate the fan relationship with the artist. And now the artist can go, fuck the middleman. This is my relationship with the artist, and I can close the gap, not even put a piece of paper in between it. I can even talk to my fans, you know, and communicate with them one-on-one, or 10 people in a room, or I can do a live show online. So once you get people in the community, you can grow that community and you can sell to them. And I think that's what probably Ray has got, right? She's got a community that will look after her.
What do you think about algorithms? And do you think in the last project you've been or you've seen, do you think like people are taking, artists are taking algorithm very important in new projects? And some artists like that can get blocked. Some artists like Wiley have had issues with being blocked on social media or with the algorithm stopping their music from getting heard.
I think you just got to accept the algorithm. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea. You have people on YouTube on TikTok that they say they're shadow banned. I don't know. I just think you just got to just get your music out. And just going back to the song, just going back to the song for a moment, because this thing about, you know, a hit song or that connectivity, for me, the lyric is really important. The lyric. You know, when people talk about great songs, you know, for me, yeah, I love to be able to sing back. But you know, when people go, oh, did they write that? Or that first line of that first verse, you're like, oh, you know, I very rarely can, if something's that good, I'm always rewinding it before I get to the second verse because of how good it. So that lyric thing, that first line of the first verse, or that fuck you lyric, or that thing that people go away and talk about because your lyrics are writing your own press release, if you know what I mean. So, you know, in that art and craft of getting better, you know, for me, you know, I get the melody and all that, and chords and stuff, but the lyric is, that's a pure ADHD thing where I just threw that in. Yeah. So the algorithm, I hate the algorithm, but you just got to accept that that you just got to just feed it, and then hopefully it looks after you.
Because apparently on TikTok, the new algorithm, if you post 2 videos at the same time,
I don't know.
Half of your, I'm telling you this, like half of the audience will get that video, and the other half will get the second one. So if you do it right, you can lose out on a lot.
That's good to know. I'll take that one back. That's good to know. Because it's true. I mean, these are the things you've got to figure out, and
especially on TikTok and YouTube.
I love TikTok. Not I'm on it, but I just love it.
Lies, man. You're on it.
It's so powerful that if the algorithm is with you, you get millions of views.
It just spins you up in front of people. Who's not asked a question? I know, that's a rhetorical.
We have 2 at the front. Okay, so after these, then we're going to go and listen to some music, right?
The money shot.
The money shot. You want to take your question?
Yeah, of course. So once you're in the industry, you've obviously been in there for a long time, and both of your careers. How many times have you had to, you know, evolve with it, and how important is it to kind of stay on top of that, because without getting swallowed by the new kind of era of how the industry works?
I think that's a good question. Again, I think it's just trying to just always, you know, at some point you've got to become really good at figuring out what you think is going to happen. My thing was, and Karl mentioned it earlier, if something's in the marketplace and already exists, then why am I signing something that sounds like something? So I think it's just always being brave. I always used to call it brave A&R. What does looking brave look like? And I used to try and make some surefire bets, but I also used to go out on a limb and preempt what I didn't think existed in the market, or what I thought was needed in the market or what I thought was missing. Now that's quite a high and mighty opinion to have, but as an individual, you know, and I was lucky to work at a place like Ireland, because you literally could make, you could act in a way. Ireland enabled me and us people that worked at Ireland to always think outside the box and always sign outside the box. And I think we then kind of forced people like Amy and Mumford. There was different reiterations of all the groups that we had signed, because people were like, we were trying to lead the way, and other people were kind of had their shit versions of what we were doing. I think, and I say that because I think what we were doing at Ireland for a period of time was exactly that. So it depends what does confidence and bravery look like when you're making decisions, and hopefully when you make the right decision, it becomes spectacular, right? And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, that when, because we all have bits of success, and but you if you want to be successful, and this is to everyone, then you've got to be spectacular with it. You've literally, you know, you can't wake up in the morning and kind of go, I've got to be okay about it. I want to just be good. You got to be amazing. You've got to want to be amazing. You got to want your records for people to kind of go, what the hell is that? Because if people are going, oh, I like that, it kind of sounds like so and so, you're fucked. So, what does being brave for all of you look like? From the first line of the verse, what the melody is, rhythmically, what is it? What story you're trying to tell? Because in a sea of mediocrity, when something exciting happens, it lights up. And at the moment, because everybody has lowered the bar, if someone starts doing amazing things or different things, it shows itself. So the future for me is, what does bravery continue to look like, of people making decisions or making records or writing songs or doing the artwork for something, or like, why does people give a fuck when we don't need to? You know?
Love that. Those two more questions. I think one was over that side. She's gone.
The empty chair.
Any more? Any more? You had one then.
No.
You changed your mind? It's been answered. Alright.
Do you think, obviously, like you said a while ago, that before you used to go down to a record store and pick out a record and you pay, you save up for it and everything, and I think inside that package you got all the lyrics, who the producer was, how they did this, how they did that, and obviously as people who are into music, you actually want to learn about all of that yourself, you're not just pressing play all the time. But do you think and having that creates a really strong bond with the artist, and then there's loyalty there, and then, you know, do you think that's possible in today's day and age where everything's online? Do you think it's possible to have a connection?
You know what? I think people don't care as much about that kind of stuff, unfortunately, anymore. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think, because we don't have that emotional connection, and a lot of music is quite throwaway now. Unless you're a super fan, people don't care. Like, because the fact I had to get on a bus, travel half an hour, then walk 20 minutes to get to this shop to buy this one record. Don't forget, I had like probably 3 or 4 or 5 pounds on me, so I can only have one, right? So then it's the agony of choice. The choice I had to make took a minute. First of all, I looked at the cover. Then I listened to all of them. And then maybe I liked a couple, but I could only choose one. So by the time I left that store, the journey and the decision making, I had to get this one record. It meant something to me. Carried it home under my arm, put it on, got on my bed, and the first thing I do is read the sleeve from beginning to end. I want to know who played bass, who played the keys, who recorded it, who mastered it, what the label was, where was the label from, do you know what I mean? Every single bit of information about this record I knew, because I was that invested. I'm not sure that is the same thing now. Although the other day I did finally find out how to find out who the producer is on Spotify and who wrote it. Yeah, I know. I only just discovered that the other day. But again, it's not as in depth, and you have to go out of your way to kind of do that. And all right, for example, how many of you, the last few records you listened to, actually checked all the information about who wrote it, who produced it, where it was mastered?
Mate, that's just critical. It's critical stuff. That stuff. That stuff is. If you give a fuck, you will find out.
Listen, like Herb Powers, who was one of the, a legendary mastering engineer, right? I always wanted my records done by him, mastered by him, because all my favourite records were mastered by him. That's how deep you go down. Do you know what I mean? I knew that I wanted him to master my. I mean, probably no one in here could name a mastering engineer, or even know what they do.
And this goes back to the process, right? Because young producers that I've heard people go, I just mastered this tune. I'm like, where did you master it? They're here. I'm like, yeah, but I've got the technology, and I'm like, and
the mastering,
and we used, I used to attend all my mastering sessions of all the artists that you just go and sit in the master, and Stuart Hortz would be like, off, on, off, on. And so, and I learned about mastering by being in mastering. I learned about mixing by living and those mad sessions that would go to 4 a.m. because and you just like be down like hit this place, this Livingston. I mean, Metropolis Studios was just the amount of records that leaving here at 4 a.m, just like ears just bleeding, because you would literally live and you would mix these records and it wasn't, we had musicians. You had to mic the room up. The engineer had to mic the room up. He had to mic the drum kit up, and the drummer used to come in and lay down the drum track and da-da-da. Records don't get made like that anymore. There's not layers to music unless Sam Smith's making a record. New artists used to make records like so. The quality control and the understanding of the process of making the record, from being in the bedroom and taking the demos out of the bedroom into a big studio like this and laying it out. Oh, look, we've got 64 tracks. I only used these 2 tracks. I was like, I've had conversations. I mean, it's crazy. I've had conversations like, can I get the parts for the tune? And I get the vocal and the track. Yeah. And I'm like, where's the but yeah, it's all, the music's in the track. Yeah, but I can't. The track is the track. How do I separate the tracks? Yeah, but it's the feeling of the tune. No, it's like, I'm like, dude, man, like that's like so in all of this process, right, from writing to making records, what does greatness look like? Why are your records going to go around the world? Why is your art going to go around the world? You got America, you got France, you got all of these other countries who've got their own versions of whatever we're doing. So all I say is, how do we be amazing? Not good, amazing. And so go listen to old classic records where there was greatness, right? Listen to the voices, listen to voices of what greatness sounded like. Listen to, Amy Winehouse came in and said, I'm ready to make Back to Black, and she was a jazz artist, and then she came in one day and she sat down and she had an acoustic guitar, she played Love Is a Losing Game. And that is like, I'm like, yo. Yeah. And the reason why I was like, yo, is because I knew what other artists back in the day sounded like and how great they were. So I could go, shit, she's on a level, right? There's levels to what we do. So understand those levels and whether you're anywhere near that shit, all right? So be good, be amazing. So let's go and listen to your tunes now. No. Oh, we're not?
We had a hand up here.
Remy Wolf. Yeah, Remy Wolf. Signed her in America before I left. She's dope. I think she's that artist that I think is, you go and see live and you kind of go, wow. I don't know how big she will be, but you'll go, wow. So that's one.
I can't think of one. Not.
Think about it while we're listening.
Yeah. Who's heard of Ren? R-E-N. Check out Ren. I beg you, check out Ren. R-E-N. He's a new artist. I don't think he's signed, but I messaged him, and I don't message people. But I said, wherever you are, I will fly there. So if he's in Newcastle, I will fly there.
Let's go listen to some music.
Yeah, let's go listen to some music. Hey! All good? Some nuggets. Where's my phone?
Thanks so much for that, guys. That was great. So insightful.
No, I would never filter a song.
Great. Honestly, amazing. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the answer.
Also, if you guys need anything today, I'm working with Michelle. Just let me know and I can go and grab it for you.
All right, can I pack it, Chris?
Yeah, I can go and grab. What flavor?
Can I get a latte if someone's making one?
A latte and salt and vinegar crisps.
I do a cheese nugget.
Cheese and onion.
Yeah, or if not, any type of fine.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, can we?
I'm being really stupid. So who's West London?
I was, no, I'm in South.
You're in South.
I was Sheffield Bishop.
Where are you?
I was like Edgware Road, but now I'm like Battersea.
Oh, wow.
I'm in Clapham.
You're Clapham. Where are you?
Here, Tulse Hill.
Tulse Hill,
Vauxhall at the moment.
Vauxhall,
Brixton.
Brixton,
Woolwich.
Woolwich,
Tulse Hill.
Tulse Hill, Battersea, Wandsworth, Croydon, Tooting, Kingston.
Harrow Road.
All right, West London. Right, that's good, West London. I was just looking for the person from West, that's all.
That's me.
Couple of Tulse Hill people. Croydon. You can drive through Croydon on the way back from Brighton, I'm sure. When you're coming back west, you're trying to get west, you can drive through. I'm sure I've driven through Croydon. That's the only reason I've driven through Croydon. Just coming. Now I'm being a dickhead, sorry. Sorry, I'm being a dickhead. I love Croydon. It's not far from Norbury, because my dad was living in Norbury, and I remember there were signs to Croydon. Never went past those signs though.
Moment of truth.
So is this? Am I just feeding back on what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's about 4 or 5 tracks. What did you say?
And are these artist projects that I'm listening to, or is this producer projects I'm listening to?
I'll be able to tell you.
So, all right. Let's.
Is there any chance to airdrop and switch out submissions?
Oh.
Just because the thing is, I've sent something through, and since then, I think done a new
It is
mix of
produced
it.
by Miles.
That's someone with
That's
disclaimers
you.
already.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That one
Bad
out, 'cause
sign.
you've got a new mix of that.
Do you know how to do all of that, Miles?
Airdrop.
Well, I don't.
Why can't you just play it off your phone?
You want to hear it on the speakers, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll come. No. I mean, he can plug in his phone.
Alright, cool.
Oh,
could do
can
that
we
as
do
well,
that?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
Whatever's
let's do
easier
that.
for him.
Let's do that. So it's not everything. It's another
No,
song.
it's a different one.
All right.
Love.
Cool.
So is all of this stuff recorded at the ACM, or is this?
I've got one that was recorded here.
Yeah.
And that was literally recorded a couple nights ago in my bedroom. So.
I need about 10 sugars.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Do you want me to go and grab
Yeah,
some?
please.
Is normal milk okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I get some water, please?
Yes, man.
Swimming the fly.
Yeah. I tried cutting down, but I can't.
Are you recording it here? All right.
Well, I was just- So you two have been working together?
Yeah, so we met like 2 months ago, properly on the course when I played a song that I recorded.
Right, okay.
Turns out he produces like incredible music, and I love to write over it and kind of.
So you're the producer and you're the writer?
Yeah.
So you've top lined
Both
this?
right.
I based both kind of.
And the thing is, he's a producer as well.
And who's vocaled it?
Me.
Right, okay. And is this an artist project or is this...
At the moment, so the one I think his first one we played is literally recorded 2 days ago. So we just spent around 2.5 hours just really trying to get a song together.
Right, okay.
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it's our best. Like
No, just
masters
like
or
the
anything,
production,
but-
made the beat together, kind of tried to do some innovative stuff, like like production-wise, like panning kicks, having like I don't know rolls on the snare, like things like that.
He'll hear that
Change it
shit.
around,
He'll
yeah,
hear that.
all shit that you.
I'll be listening.
Yeah, man.
Better be fucking good.
Oh, fuck, there's no sugar in it, is there? No, there's no sugar. I'm just waiting for... Yeah, she's coming with some sugar.
Marlon said he'd go and get it.
La, 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 la. You don't like the Genlex?
The Genelex I know is like you just get it sounding good on the Genelex.
If it sounds good on NSC,
Yeah, just do that.
it sounds good everywhere.
I use HS7, so they're like quite well, yeah, synth like the bass.
Genlex are like often quite bottomy. Depends. It really sharp your mix if you haven't done it right on Genlex.
Oh yeah, this is well.
If you don't control the bottom end, it's over.
The mid song. He switched devices.
Right, we got about, I think we got about 15, 20 minutes.
Is it, yo?
So we are doing a true A&R session. First chorus, please.
Don't bore us.
Get to the chorus.
Unless something really hits you and
Yes.
you're like, I want to hear more.
Yes. Is that okay?
And it's just two of us. This one we actually recorded in Studio E when we got a bit of Metropolis downtime. But utilised the most of it. I think we had 3 hours, but it was incredible.
Are we ready?
Is it running from pro? Okay.
Did you call me a big knob?
No, no, no.
You hit me hard, girl, I didn't see it coming. Right from the start, I could tell you were just what I wanted. Tear me apart, but I still come back running. Give me your heart, yeah. Give me your heart, yeah. You hit me hard, girl, I didn't see it coming. Right from the start, I could tell you were just what I wanted. Tear me apart, but I still come back running. You hit me hard, you hit me hard. You don't care. Now you got me looking at my phone too much. Did I fall too hard? You're not there. Why you gotta keep me on my own so long? Yeah, it keeps me scarred. Why can't you make your decision? Control my inhibitions. I pour out my heart, but I know you're not even listening. Hate the way you're talking to my soul. I'm feeling but I'm cold. Yeah, it's getting old. You hit me hardest, girl, I didn't see it coming. Right from the start, I could tell you were just what I wanted. Tear me apart, but I still come back running. Give me your, yeah, give me your, yeah. You hit me hardest, girl, I didn't see it coming. Right from the start, I could tell you were just what I wanted. Tear me apart, but I still come back running. You hit me hardest, you hit me hardest. You hit me hardest. You hit me hardest. You hit me hardest.
That was feels rough around the edges, but it kind of knows what it is. Genre-wise, it knows what it is. Rhythmically wise, it's kind of locked. You know, it's not wish. And here, you know, you're going for some repetitive shit. It's the like it's I would say a really solid track, really solid song.
No, I'll actually go with that. Thing I've never heard before.
I think that's definitely that's
No,
more of a conventional type.
Yeah,
of
it's not
track.
that,
I don't
but
know.
it is actually good though.
I think that so that would be actually hasn't released any music into the public yet. So that was in the plan, the first release to kind of break into that social media field and also to kind of create that kind of name.
It's solid, man.
But then, if you don't mind, play one more, which is a bit more, in my opinion, production-wise and vocals, but it's a bit more experimental. So is that good? Probably mix it.
If everyone's fine with him playing two songs,
Just snippet. Alright, from the second verse. Do the second verse.
Baby, will I ever feel that all again? Is there a possibility? I'll make a mess. I'll die for your soul, baby. 'Cause you're my lady. I don't even know if I can take it. Been a couple months, don't feel the same thing. You seem to be good with new relations. I can find a way, I can't replace it. Every day I'm running out of patience. How can I be even more persuasive? No, it's not enough to say I've changed it. Seems to you there's no negotiation. What do I do it for? Know that there won't be more.
what you've got to, what you've got to find, and the beautiful thing I think about working, being from British, is think of a snare sound or a kick drum, take it from somewhere completely different. Right, start experimenting. And when you hear music, it becomes more interesting. And you a bit left about it.
But it's really good though.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I was expecting something not as good. Well done.
I wasn't expecting the music. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is this was a tune I did the other week, and this is quite literally pretty much one take vocal. So I wasn't recording.
Disclaimers.
Yeah,
Always, right?
Yeah. One take vocal. A kicks, no Sanchez kicks.
Sugar fine, whole life never felt so right. Like some mold on a cheese, but it stays mild. Lily is one French horn's funny one tonight. Yeah. Oh, wonder how could I ever comprehend what just happened now? All life gave enough lemons, so I hit them in half. But she's a cherry and my garden is flourishing now. And I say,
Because I won't expect it. And I think listen again, don't lose your mind on this, right? Because you still got work to do. But that thing of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know when I was saying earlier, when people play you something, you kind of go, what the fuck?
The thing is, right, I'm not gonna lie. The intro was long, and the reason why it's sounding long is because there's a horrible sounding piano, or what is it, a Rhodes, yeah. Yeah, Rhodes. But that aside, so I was thinking, oh fucking hell.
I thought we were in Yamaha keyboards.
Yeah, exactly. But then the vocal came in, and it changed everything. And even then, I mean, the production is what it is. But by the time your voice came in, it didn't really matter about the production.
Go and listen to some French funk. House.
Disco.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the warmth and the bottom end, because you're just on some MIDI fucking Bon Tempi keyboard, right? But play it again.
But there's a nice quirk to it though. Do you know what I mean? There's something about the childishness of the production. So if that's, you know what I mean?
That's a great word. And
that kind of gives it, I don't know. You know when A&R people talk shit?
Yeah.
Is that what I just did?
Yeah. No, not really, no. Because we all talk shit.
Yeah, do you know?
It's all opinion, right?
Yeah.
It's all opinion. We can all go, that sounded good, right? That there was something about that, right? That's all it is. It's an opinion. It's good. It makes people feel good. Play it again. Play it again.
Right.
sugar fine. Whole life never felt so right. Like some mold on a cheese, but it stays mild. Lily is one French
it to sound special or sound different. And the thing is, if you played me that, I'll be like, where's it do? Where is he? Oh, you! And that's the.
All life gave enough lemon, so I hit them in half. but she's a cherry in my garden.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, some quality shoes. Well done.
But again, if you guys are taking notes here, that's left. That's taking it a little left. And although it's not a finished record,
There's a band called Tahiti
something
80.
special there.
Tahiti 80. Tahiti. That's a place in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So just remember that. Tahiti 80. 80.
Right, so I'm gonna play you my latest single that's been released in all like social platform, Spotify
Mhm.
and digital
Mhm.
platform. It's been shot as a music video in West London, so Hammersmith, Shepherd Bush, and Chelsea. And the video
Chelsea's
great.
not West London.
Southwest
London.
Always by the bridge. Always, yeah. And the music video is going to be out on the 2nd of February. So
Man's got release date and everything. All right.
So you can tell me what you think.
Out on all platforms, yeah?
Yeah, and I've got the music video exclusive now, private, so you can see what it.
Take notes, people. Release date video. You can plug it in. Why is it not?
Plug it back in.
Yeah.
Yo. He's recording here in this room.
What's happened?
Internet.
Okay, hold on. One more time. Rewind.
OUFADEAR, that's the name. Yes. Yeah. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve me, girl. Best to the best, and I go for the best. I don't care about the rest. Yeah. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve me, girl. Best to the best, and I go for the best. I don't care about the rest. Yeah. I'm so lucky I can see there's plenty fish in the sea. Don't deserve me, obviously. I'ma tell you honestly, you're a player, a liar. You killed all my desire. Now you're chasing me, calling me by moving with my best G. No time for West girl like you, immature girl. I don't wanna see you, my life is superb. Now that I'm far from you, I've been loyal, I've been royal, I've been real with you. Give you all you needed, I was always there for you. Was close, make you my wife, and give you all my life. And now I feel so blessed that you're out of my life. Girl, you've been so miserable, you're just not understandable. That is not acceptable. You know I'm a king, I don't chase them, I replace them. Give them all they need, and if they don't appreciate, I don't return to them. I just need them.
Right,
I
so,
don't need them.
so remember earlier on we were talking about authenticity and that and if you look at artists like Central C, who made, I can't remember the name of the record, but he's got loads of different,
I was in the music video 6 for 6 when he done it.
in all the different countries.
Oh, the one with the Italian.
Yeah, where he did. So he went to France and blah blah blah, right? So the language barrier is no longer that much of an issue for people, and the culture, and that the world is joined in the way the dots are joined around the world, right? Because in hip hop, it's fucking hard, right?
Absolutely agree. All my career has been in Arabic and French rap, so I've been doing that.
Then
Trafalgar's playing French and Arabic. That's why I'm doing the English part now. For this song specifically.
right, okay. I would be mixing up the shit, because authenticity, you know, if your peoples dig it, other people will dig it.
Yeah.
Right? If your culture digs it, right? So just to the point, because when I heard your accent, I didn't know exactly where you're from, but you know, record companies have opened up offices for the Arabic speaking countries, and lots of people are turning up on each other's records speaking their own language, and the hook might be in English, right? So this the conversation about authenticity all in hip hop, and that there are so many cultures, and the language barrier is not the obstacle anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I think people singing in English
100%.
makes it ordinary.
100%. That's the reason why I put this in English, in my authentic English.
Mhm.
It represents people like me in England.
Speaking English.
That's why I did in English in West London, where I've been.
Right, okay. I would just go one step further.
And it's a real story, so it was a breakup. So breakup.
Tell your stories, but I always say, I don't live in the UK, I live in the fucking world, right? And I want my music to travel. I don't want my music to stop at... Once I realised what ambition looked like for making records or signing artists, it was like, he wants to sell the most gloat records around the world, and I want my artists not just to play the Jazz Cafe in Camden or Subterranea. I want them playing Wembley Arena or Madison Square Garden in America.
You need to hear the second verse.
I will hear the second... No? So...
One thing I would say as well is because your voice instantly sounded different to me, right? So for me, the production normalized it in a way, and you're putting yourself in a category where you're going up against the Drakes of the world and all this kind of stuff. But your voice, what I'm saying is that, what I'm saying is your voice, if I would have heard that on something else, a bit left, a bit more authentic, that would have carried more weight.
And authenticity is, again, musically, what's a musical instrument?
Let's hear the second verse.
No, we're not going to hear the second verse. No, we're not going to hear the second verse. But the point I'm making, this goes back to the question of about what authenticity looks like. And when we're talking and you're butting, I don't know what you're listening to. So I'm saying to you, your culture, the fact that you can speak 3 languages, right, is amazing, right?
I've made the first Arabic rhyme in history.
Then keep making the first Arabic rhyme in history.
No, I did it back in time.
Oh, okay, you already made history.
Well done, though.
Can we play? Oh, okay.
Who's up next?
Can we play the second track? We've heard the I'll just press play.
Is this Amber?
This is Amber.
And Tut?
You got the.
And guys, you can also, if we're talking shit and you disagree, you know what I mean? Say your piece.
If it doesn't play, I have a USB.
I've been down this road before. You know my body like it's yours. I never thought that I would spend my sunsets looking in your eyes. This type of incandescent love wouldn't suit anyone but us. Tailored my soul for yours, and you wear it like it was made of gold. I live the life, open my eyes. Now I'm blind to all except for you. You're the liquor on my tongue as I'm coming undone. This kind of love is a war that ain't won, but it's keeping me strong and warms me up when I'm alone. You're the liquor in my blood. It's hard to trust this game of love or lust, but we can't stop. So tell me I'm the one that warms you up when you're alone. You're the liquor for my soul. This time I know how it'll be. You'll grow your garden around me. We'll walk through autumn leaves, now truly knowing what it means to fall. I live the lies, open my eyes. Now I'm blind to all except for you. You're the liquor on my tongue as I'm coming undone. This kind of love is a war that ain't won, but it's keeping me strong. Warms me up when I'm alone. You're the liquor in my blood. It's hard to trust this game of love or lust, but we can't stop. So tell me I'm the one that warms you up when you're alone.
Very good, yeah. Blinding me. It was really good. Really strong. You know, you're writing songs, like, and you're not hiding behind anything, and I think that's admirable. You know, early doors, people try and hide behind a shitload of stuff, and in terms of instrumentation and stuff. So it's brave stuff, and you're putting yourself out there, and then it just becomes about just developing that art and that craft, and lyrically making something really stick, and you know, it's that you know, when song, I just remember, and remembering all of this, we're not talking about having to write hit songs. It's just about writing stuff that people can engage with and connect with, right? Writing hits is about developing your art and understanding what that is. But in the very first instance, who and what are you? And I think that, again, come out saying what you mean. Yeah. You know, are other people your age identifying with what you're, you know, when Olivia Rodrigo wrote, was it Driving, whatever? Driver's License. It's, you know, so it's again, I find it's that storytelling and that lyric thing where people can really identify with you, and then welcome them into your world.
For me, like with my lyric writing, a thing that I like to do stylistically is kind of like tell the story, then create kind of like, you know, like a blurb of a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'd make that in the bridge. So like stylistically, that's the way I kind of put that across. But like, is there any kind of like advice that you'd give me lyrically from that, like that?
You will get better at telling your stories. I always talk about that first line of the first verse is always the money maker, in terms of getting, like, catching someone and being in, and then early doors, allow your shit to breathe. Like, it's very well produced. Yeah. Like it's no, and take no, but it's I would just kind of lo-fi the shit up.
That's what I was gonna say.
I would just lo-fi it and allow people to come on at ground level in the development of who and what you are and the sound of what you are. So it's yeah. Sometimes people are like, oh, it sounds like it's made in the bedroom. Right, and that sounds like that was made in here. Yeah. Was it? There you go. Which is cool, but I'm just that kind of journey of people's music. I think people like to go on, again, what I think I've discovered is that people like to go on journeys now. Fans like to go on journeys. Yeah. If you give them the demo, they go, I've got the demo version of the song that ended up coming out.
Yeah, because like that's kind of like the demo we like did the vocals. It's just the guitar on there that I put. I'm not really a guitarist myself, but we put that on there, and then the keys as well. So in terms of the production, it's a skeleton, and it's all going to be swapped.
Don't explain it, but it needs to be imperfect. And guys, don't explain your stuff. Just play it. Because if you when you explain your stuff, it's like, oh, I'm not really. Just play it. Right? We've all been around that. We know what demos are and what rough vocals are and blah blah. Just play your shit. Your shit was rough as a bear's ass, but it was really good. You know, demos are supposed to be incoherent pieces of little genius. That's what demos are supposed to be. They're not supposed to be this fleshed out, this is what it is, because then you don't leave any room for input. I have no input on that song because it sounds like where you would sound finished. So allow people to go on a journey with your stuff, and and allow stuff to be rough. Because if it's not resonating as a crappy, crusty listening thing, where you go, this is going to sound amazing once it's finished, then it's never going to sound amazing.
Thank you. I would just add vocally, like, really think about the lyrics that you're singing and the angst. I didn't get enough angst from you in that performance.
Yeah.
So I would really go through the lyric and think, you know what am I trying to say? What is the emotion behind that? And then give that emotion. Because if you think about the song that jumps to my mind is something like Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. Yeah. It's not a perfect vocal.
100%.
But it is so filled with emotion that you are invested when you hear it.
What Michelle's saying.
Little cracks in the vocal, everything. It's like, I can feel that.
What Michelle's saying, and it got you know a few artists, and I used to love the Brit School because they were just churning out these fucking superstars, and it was because some of them had that training in there. Some of them did theatre in at the Brit School, like Amy Adele. They all did theatre, so they had this thing about projecting the persona or the voice, you know, or telling, you know, Florence. They went to art school, and so there was an art and a dramaticness to what they do, right? It wasn't dialed in. They projected and performed, or outperformed, or overperformed. So yeah, that thing about just making people believe the performance of the vocal, because people can get away with not any old shit. What was the tune I was saying? What's the tune I heard coming today? I don't do. He did cocaine on
on a night out.
On a night out. Has anyone heard that tune?
Yeah, it's isn't it saying about? It's a drum and bass tune.
Huh?
It's not that Jesus in Berlin track.
I don't know, but it's but my mate Kev did cocaine on a night and lost his mind. It was on fucking Radio 1 playing daytime, and it was shit. You heard it?
I don't think no.
It was. You can. Is that your second verse?
I thought he was rapping.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Huh? All right, trust me. So yeah, I forgot what I was saying now, but I must have said it all. Do you get what I was saying though? Yeah. All right, cool. All right.
Thank you so much.
No, but well done. Well done. Yeah, I'm good. Has everybody still got energy?
Samuel Monday in here?
If Samuel's not here, he gets gas-faced.
Alright.
That's the old
Georgina Weeks? Not in here either. Alright, cool. Holly Hunt?
Oh.
So, could we play your track if you're in the room? You're in the room. You got your. Let's play your track.
Charlotte, is this yours?
Oh, I'm Charlotte, but I'll play it after.
Oh, right. Oh, you two are playing songs?
Yeah,
Come.
So let's give the opportunity for those that are in the room to play the song.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah. It's down.
You can go, yo. Oh, wow. Nice one, man. Oh. Hold on. Everyone in the room, are we all? Yeah? Go on then. Have you got your vape?
What, the vape?
Yeah, the vape.
Oh
Tell me about it. Talk to me. What was the sentiment? What was the moment?
It was just kind
Are you playing?
No, Sam is playing.
Oh, go on, Sam.
And it was recorded by Jude.
Ah.
But yeah, it was kind of like toxic relationship, breakup. Let's make a ode to that kind of painful but heartfelt.
Was that a real breakup?
Yeah.
It was, so that was autobiographical.
Yeah, because I like write all my own stuff and I write for other people as well. And I was just kind of like I was like sitting on this for a while, and then we recorded it, and then I sat like for ages doing all the harmonies.
No, listen. I think it goes back to what Michelle was saying to Amber about inhabiting the vocal and what does confidence feel like in terms of storytelling. Not actually is am I technically hitting it right? And that kind of goes back to the I always used to, Amy wasn't the best singer, she was just the storyteller and phrasing and stuff, right? And so it was just about how the storytelling and the gaps between words and the pause or the push, and it's just that stylistically just getting more confident in your ability to consistently tell the story, deliver that, right, from first line to last line, and how that feels in other songs as well. And I think that's where does my style come from? It will come from your ability to tell story using the words or the slang you use with your mates, right? That you're not talking over people's heads, you're talking actually specifically to you and your mates with the same kind of
like a combo,
right? Again, developing one style, right? Because some people think it's about the technicality to blow. It's not. It's about, well, yeah, it can be if it needs to be, but in the very first instance, it's about again, authenticity. What is my real self telling a story? Not what do I think it would be, but how do I chat to my mates? What's the words that we use?
Did you say it was about heartbreak?
Yeah, it was kind of like about. Do you know when you have that one person, they just keep coming back and they're really bad for you, they're really toxic for you, that kind of...
It's called marriage.
Yeah, it's called marriage. Yeah, we're living it.
But the thing is, right, is that although it sounded beautiful, I didn't get the story.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I think as well, the way it sounded, there was a lot going on. And you have a nice voice. You don't need to hide behind loads of backing vocals and all this kind of business. It's what you leave that is going to make it, stand out.
What was the lyric at the beginning? Heaven sent.
It's like you're heaven sent to make me whole again. It's like you're heaven sent to make my mind a mess.
What was the second bit?
It's like you're heaven sent to make my mind a mess.
Make my mind a mess. Okay. Yeah. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand the heartbreak bit of it.
Yeah.
I got the oh, you're heaven sent. It sounds very kind of almost etheric, quite sweet. But if it's a heartbreak song where it's that irony of wow, so you've come out of nowhere to basically fuck up my life, right? Yeah.
And if you're talking to that with your mate, you'd be like, what, you think you're heaven sent to that? So that kind of cadence of and spitting the last word of the so it's about cadence, it's about hearing the first line of the first verse. It's hearing like this guy's a dickhead and he's toxic. So then people get the humour because you're being self-deprecating by telling the story. So it's about storytelling. It always is about storytelling. Yeah.
Just as a music fan, right? Just one thing to say. It sounds like you've got an incredibly big voice in there that I was thinking, is it coming? I've just stopped listening because it sounds like you've got that lower register and it held back. And in respect of what the emotion we were talking about that contrast and letting it out, I kind of wait for it.
That big boy.
I think it's in there. And I reckon it is. I'd love to hear it.
Don't hold back.
It's all good.
Pocket rocket.
That wrong kind of licked me a little bit. I backed it off.
Did you done it?
Yeah, man.
Alright, let's do snippets. I want to get. I thought it was going to be you, so let's do snippets for you two, yeah? Okay. And then we. Yeah. Has this been valuable for you guys? Yeah.
Well, hopefully they wouldn't have said no in front of me. Turn it up a bit on yours.
Mariam.
I'm praying that you catch me soon. I'm falling with no parachute. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. My heart beats and then skips a few. These feelings like a dream come true. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. Can't deny the light you brought into my life. Something about you and me just feels right. Yeah. You've done something special to me. Came right on time with everything that I need. My butterflies on a ride. I'm praying that you catch me soon. I'm falling with no parachute. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. My heart beats and then skips a few. These feelings like a dream come true. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. All because of you, that's why I'm smiling. Didn't fall for you, instead I'm flying. Oh, would you believe that I go to sleep and can't wait to wake up? Is this how it feels to be in love? Hope you know how much you mean to me. My butterflies on a ride. I'm praying that you catch me soon. I'm falling with no parachute. It's all because of you. It's all because of you.
I would say that's one of the best in its all-roundedness.
It's dope. Like, who produced it?
So I wrote the song 2 years ago, and I found a beat on YouTube, and then I really liked it. So then the producer that I'm working with now, I bought the track exclusively. Then we rearranged it and reproduced it. And
It's hard, man.
Thank you.
It's hard, very hard.
Yeah. If an artist came and said, I want this to be part of my EP, or I'll be like, yeah. I'll be like, you crack on. You know, that's good. I think,
good.
Yeah. I think
Leave me hanging, son.
I think that everything I've heard today, I can't speak to you, but everything I've heard, is that it now? One more. Let me hold my mouth. Let me hold my mouth.
I enjoyed that.
That was really good.
The vocal was spot on as well, man.
Thank you.
And you left enough space.
That's what I call in the pocket.
In the pocket.
The pocket.
You rode that.
Are you a plant? Are you sure you're not already signed and got a record deal?
No.
Angles on the. Man's got angles. Yeah. Turn it up from your phone.
You have me here overthinking, wondering why I'm still missing. But my sadness and for you. Oh, here reminiscing. I can't lie, I still be missing. Be a fool to go back to you. You disappear, pin moments later. Always coming back when you need a favor. Good with your words, now hard to please my ears. After all these years, yeah. You're still screaming this and that, but your actions still say words a cap. Claim you will change, but you're still the same. Don't you wanna change? It's strange. Are you still the same? Still on your old ways, on the same page. I'm
That's ill. That's like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but that is dope.
It's jazz.
It's jazz, yeah,
It's
it
jazz.
is jazz.
It's
but
jazz.
It's dope. That's incredible. Like, for real, for real.
Can I say something musically though?
Yeah.
Like the saxophone for me, it was slightly out from what the.
That's what was dope about it. That's what made me go, oh shit, what's going on? That's not supposed to work, but it fucking works. I hear what you're saying, but for me, because I like weird shit.
It was a little bit too far out for me. I loved when the solo came in, but those chordal things that were going on before that solo bit came in, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but that's, for me, that was like the money shot. That, you know when you just have to go ugly for a minute? It was like, oh shit.
Do you know what I loved about it? It's what it was on the tin. It's like, it's jazz.
Yeah.
But it's modern. It
That's
felt
like
contemporary.
2030 jazz, man.
You know, and that just like, you know, when you're making, I think, you know, when you're trying to make something great, it's, I think that, again, this is only personal opinion and this is where you see it from. It has to feel rooted, unless you're making pop music. But if you're trying to, everything's got to feel rooted somewhere, whether it's in the blues of something, or in the jazz of something, or on the floor, in the dance of something. It's got to be, and that just felt like you were coming from somewhere that you knew what it is, you know what the art form is, and it feels contemporary. It's like, and you're like in the pocket. It's offbeat. It's like you're coming, and it's like the one doesn't matter. It's like, where's the one? So
yeah, that's dope, man.
I think those, yeah, you know, like the Little Sims of this world, or the Amy's of this world, or even if you kind of go, you know, yeah, I remember this. We weren't successful with her, but I remember she came. What was her name? Elle. We signed this white girl. Her name was Elle. Oh, but I remember when she came to see me, she just had this big book of jazz, and I just thought, oh, you're dope. You just like, she had this big encyclopedia of jazz, and she kind of knew what it was. We weren't successful with her, but she was dope. But it's like, yeah, I thought that was very pure. Yeah, and authentic. It wasn't trying to be. No. I just thought it was dope. So well done. Respect. And I think for everyone, everyone
done really well. Right?
I think everyone played something amazing. Everyone's got something amazing about what they can, what they're doing. Everything feels individual.
And actually, very high standard. Man.
Yeah, really high standard. And I've been to some of these things and sat with students, and the quality I was blown away for. And if you figure out who am I in all of what you're doing, and a style, right? Then there's only upside. And this and going back to what does success look like, right? Success in the beginning is not about having a hit. It's about, can you build community and fan, right? And sometimes it doesn't matter how big or small. If you can monetize that group of people, then that's a business, right? And that's a business model. So whether you sign to an independent or record company, you stay thinking, Bob, how do you create your own ecosystem of and a relationship with a fan for your own music? Because that's what major record companies are going to be looking for anyway down the line. So what does that mean for you guys now? We could go on, but I think that's...
You know what you need to read? You need to read Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans. It is Kevin Kelly, right? 1,000 True Fans.
Don't read a fucking book in your life.
No, but this will actually back up what he was just saying.
Yeah, it is.
I've never read a book in my life.
Fucking liar.
I haven't.
He's a swap.
No, I read Tipping Point. I've read Tipping Point and Malcolm X's autobiography. Yeah, but so I think if you just be passionate about what you're doing, and find out whether you're really good or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just love it, man.
I just love it.
Just love it. Just do it. You know what I mean? Just do it. Every given opportunity.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just do your thing,
Do
man.
you.
Just, you know.
All good?
Thank you, Darcus.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed that. My brother.
Yeah, man, you're Selassie, I will.
I'm on Selassie.
Take a couple pictures.
Yeah.
Right, we get a couple like pieces to